Unlocking the psychology of emotional intelligence. Most people don't fail because they're dumb. They fail because they can't control their state. And here's the brutal truth. The world isn't run by the smartest people. It's run by the most emotionally disciplined people. If you can't master your emotions in the moment, you can't master the room, the deal, or your life. If you are new here, I'm Dakota. And let me be clear, this channel isn't for everyone. If you are soft, if you want hand holding, if you need another feel-good pep talk, click off now, because that is not what we do here. What we do is different. We weaponize psychology, we break down the same frameworks that billion-dollar companies pay fortunes for, and we give them all to you for free. Not because I'm generous, but because I want to build a movement that creates killers, not cheerleaders. If you're watching this right now, you're already separated yourself from the herd. You are not average, you are not a victim, you are not here for comfort, you are here for power. And today, I'm gonna take emotional intelligence, the thing that most people dismiss as soft, and I'm gonna flip it into the sharpest weapon that you've ever seen. A weapon that you can use in sales, leadership, and relationships, and in your life. And by the end of this, I'm gonna hand you a 30-day protocol that is gonna hardwire a new EQ set point permanently into your subconscious mind. So let's get into it. Pillar number 1, self-awareness. The first pillar of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And it's not some vague know yourself cliche. It's about the ability to notice what's happening inside you while it's actually happening. It is catching the rise of anger in your chest before you snap. It is noticing the shallow breath of anxiety before you fumble the pitch. It is the inner dashboard that tells you what is going on under the hood. Most people think that they're self-aware, but research has shown that literally 9 out of 10 people, they're not aware. They have no idea what's going on around them. This means 9 out of 10 people that you meet, they're not aware of what's going on. They're literally blind leaders. And these blind leaders wreck teams. Blind salespeople lose deals. Blind partners destroy relationships. Picture a CEO who keeps firing staff because they don't perform. From his perspective, the team is incompetent. But from everyone else's perspective, the truth is obvious. He never gave clear direction. He is in a blind spot, and here's the reality. If you can't see your own patterns as a human, you're gonna repeat them forever and ever, and you are gonna go through relationships, sabotaging them one after another. The same frustration circling like clockwork nonstop, and it's not bad luck. That is what happens when you don't have self-awareness. To change this, you need to start with a 2-minute radical honesty session twice a day. You need to pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling? Where do I feel it in my body? What triggered this emotion? And what stories am I telling myself about it? What this enables you to do as an individual is remove yourself from your emotional autopilot state and look at the rational part of what's going on in your brain. This then puts you back into the driver's seat. And the more you practice this exercise, the faster you catch yourself. At first, you'll notice it after the damage. Then you'll notice it mid-pattern. Eventually, you'll catch it before it ever happens. And that single shift changes everything. Because you don't rise to your level of goals, you fall to your level of your nervous system. Let's talk about the next pillar in this. Pillar number 2, that is self-management. Now, once you can see yourself clearly, the next challenge is controlling what you do with what you see. That's where self-management comes to the equation. If self-awareness is recognition, think as self-management is regulation. It is the ability to direct your emotional energy instead of being directed by it. And this isn't suppression, it's weaponization. A lack of self-management destroys trust faster than incompetence. The leaders who explode at their team may be brilliant. They may do a lot of great things. But if you can't get this under control, the people around you are gonna walk on eggshells. The salesperson who panics under pressure is gonna always lose the deal, and the partner who lashes out of anger is always gonna erode their romantic relationship. Your emotions are chemical storms. Adrenaline, cortisol, dopamine, they spike for 90 seconds, then they fade. But if you know how to ride the surge, you can act in ways that you won't regret. Picture an argument with your partner. They hit a nerve, your instinct is to snap back and escalate the entire problem and win. But instead, you pause, you breathe, you let the surge pass, and you come back calm. The one act doesn't just save the moment. It protects your entire relationship. This is why the calmest people win. Not because they're the smartest, but because they're the calmest and can see everything for what it really is. So how do you train it? You want to use the 90-second rule. When your emotions spike, when you feel anger, you want to pause, you want to inhale, you want to relax, and you want to do this for a couple of moments. And you want to repeat this until the surge passes and reinforce it with identity lines of I am calm, I am clear, I am the prize. Practice this consistently, and what's going to happen is your nervous system is going to learn that this is your default composure. And that's what separates amateurs from killers. It is self-management. Self-management turns you into a weapon under pressure while everyone else freaking freaks out. The third pillar of emotional intelligence is social awareness. And once you can control yourself, the next level is being able to read others. That is social awareness. Social awareness is the ability to read the room. It is the skill of picking up on unspoken cues, emotions, intentions, energy, because words lie, but bodies don't. People mask their fear. They soften their objections and they hide the real motives. If you only listen to what is said, you'll miss the truth in everything that people say. High performers don't just hear words, they sense what's underneath the words. Let me give you an example. I'm at the racetrack. I've got my helmet on, I've got my earplugs in, I've got my gloves tight, and I'm literally seconds from launching a 200 horsepower superbike at 170 to 180 miles an hour down a front straight. My focus is locked on what? Survival. And another racer thinks that this is the perfect time to pitch me on a business idea. My video guy, Mr. Hawkins, even said, hey bro, this is not the time. But the dude ignored it and he kept pushing on until I bluntly had to tell him to get the fuck out of my garage. He set himself up for that response, not because I was angry, but because he lacked social awareness. He couldn't read the context of the room. If he had caught me at lunch relaxed, he might have had a chance. But poor timing literally burned his opportunity. The cost of missing the unspoken cues, when you can sense them and you can understand that someone is disengaged, they're stressed, they're distracted, and you push your agenda on them, you know what this does? It slams doors shut. So here's the drill. You want to practice triple listening in all of your social interactions. You want to listen to the content of what they said, you want to listen to the emotion of how they feel, and you want to listen to the intent on why they said it. And if you watch this and start to reverse engineer this, you can start to see things from a different perspective. You'll notice people's tone changes, their breathing is changing, their posture changes. And these are macro signals that will tell you more than words ever will. It's not about being a psychic, it's about not being freaking stupid. The fourth pillar of emotional intelligence is relationship management. And when you can read others, the next step is learning how to guide the interaction itself. The relationship management is the key to everything. This is where emotional intelligence becomes practical. It is the ability to take the awareness of yourself and others and direct all that energy into a conversation to where we get trust and we get both promised outcomes. This is where most people fail. Some bulldoze the outcome and destroy trust. Others protect the trust and lose the outcome. Real emotional intelligence is about securing both. Think about your partner. They bring up something that hurt them. You can roll your eyes, dismiss them, and move on, or you can lean in, acknowledge it, and work through it together. One path builds resentment. The other path builds trust. It is the same in business. If a client is upset at you, do you get defensive or do you get to the facts? Do you acknowledge the emotion? Do you take ownership of the next step? And that is the one choice that decides whether you lose them or keep them for life. Here's the simple simple framework to run. It is called CARE. Clarity is the reality, acknowledge the emotion, request the behavior, and execute the next step. It is that simple, and that is what the acronym stands for. What you need to do is simple. Execute the next step. Simple. Direct. Be balanced, because relationship management isn't about being liked, it's about being respected while producing outcomes. Pillar number 5 of emotional intelligence is called empathy. And once you understand how to manage relationships, the last piece is empathy. Empathy is not a weakness. It is not an indulgence. It is precision, and it is a skill that allows you to step into someone else's perspective with enough accuracy to move them forward. Most people confuse empathy with softness, but real empathy is strength. Think about a leader with an underperforming employee. Without empathy, they label the employee as lazy. They punish harder, their performance gets worse. With empathy, they ask questions. They realize the person is overwhelmed, unclear, or afraid to admit that they can't do the job. And instead of punishment, they provide clarity, they provide support, and their performance rebounds because of it. You see, trust grows, the team strengthens, and that's empathy in action. In sales, empathy dissolves resistance. In leadership, empathy retains top-tier talent. And in life, empathy deepens loyalty. And it's a skill you can practice every single day, but there's 3 levels to it. The first one is subconsciously. I understand what you feel. The second one is emotional. I feel some of what you feel. And the third one is compassion. I'm willing to help. When you stack those 3, empathy becomes precision and power. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about the 30-day protocol. Now, when you put all this together, you've seen the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence, and you see how these things are critical to succeeding in today's world. But information without execution changes nothing. So what I want to do now is give you guys a 30-day playbook to hardwire this into your life, to where every single morning, every evening, you can do these practices and get yourself dialed. So what I want to start with is every single morning when you wake up, I want you to do a 2-minute scan. What am I feeling? Where do I feel it? What triggered it? And what story am I telling myself? That is self-awareness in practice. When emotions spike, I want you to use the 90-second rule. I want you to pause for 90 seconds. I want you to breathe. I want you to reset. That is self-management. And every time throughout the day, when something spikes your cortisol, your dopamine, whatever it may be, I want you to use this 90 seconds. And I want you to sit down and relax. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to pick one conversation a day and practice triple listening. This means listening to the words, listening to the emotion, and listening to the intent behind all of it. That is social awareness. And once a week, I want you to run the CARE conversation method with someone important in your life. That stands for clarity, acknowledgement, request, and of course, execute. That is relationship management. And every single day, I want you to do 3 empathy reps. 1 with a partner, 1 with a teammate, and 1 with the client. That is empathy. Daily, I want you to do these scans. I want you to do these 90-second resets. I want you to deploy triple listening and do these empathy reps every single day. And then what I want you to do is I want you to run all this for 30 days until you can feel it. And what you're gonna see is your awareness is gonna sharpen. Your control is gonna stabilize. Your relationships are going to get more depth to them. And this is how you weaponize emotional intelligence in real life. Now, it's your turn. Do you believe some people are just emotionally intelligent and they're born with it? Or do you believe it is built? Drop your comments directly below. Debate it, pick a side. And if this video woke you up, I want you to subscribe right now, because every week we are exposing the psychology, the systems, and the strategies that separate the average from the unstoppable. This isn't about mindset. This isn't just about business. It is about seeing the world as it really is and using that knowledge to win as a collective. This isn't the Luxvoni show. It is our show. And when you're ready to take your psychology to the next level and hardware it into your business so you can start living life on your own terms, I want you to head over to luxvoni.com, and we'll see you guys in the next one. We hope you enjoyed this. Talk to you soon.